So it's a very widespread myth. What's it about? What's it about? It's I take it as a philosophical myth, but you can think of it in lots of different ways. Probably an interesting way to think about it is, what's it about? If you're in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, which is, a flat desert, you get a perfect view of the sky, and if you're standing there and you're watching the stars rise, you might see Orion, the hunter, and over in the east, and over a period of 2 hours, what seems to happen is that Orion arises out of the horizon, arises out of the soil, arises out of the earth, yeah? I think that the autochthony myths are ultimately about that sort of experience, about that sort of symbolism, that the constellations of the stars rise up out of the earth. And so the golden race are people who are rooted in that cosmology. They're people who are integrated with the cosmos. And what happens over time is that we fall away from that. And as Plato puts it sort of poetically, he says, we come to be born out of season. And there's a whole symbolism to autochthony like that. It's about the golden race. What's the golden state? This golden state is being embedded in the ground of being. That's what it is. It's being embedded in the ground of being. And in these various traditions, what happens is that we lose that rootedness in the cosmos over a period of time, and this is described as a degeneration of the human race.
And you can see just when you're describing that now, how agriculture would be really deeply involved in this process of degeneration, right? Like you look at the way we do things today, and it's almost the polar opposite of what you've described so far in many ways.
Yeah, in the alchemical tradition, remember, there's no real distinction between the material and the spiritual. Rather, they're considered to be a single material in different gradations. So it's an emanationist cosmology that you have here. And that's what you have in Plato, an emanationist cosmology. There's a character that I've studied and written about. His name is Alan Chadwick, and he's an interesting guy because he was actually a student of Rudolf Steiner. He had Rudolf Steiner as his personal tutor for a while when he was a kid, when he was young. And Alan was, according to some accounts, the greatest horticulturalist of the 20th century. He was an amazing gardener. And we have a number of his lectures, and they're very eccentric and esoteric and strange. Alan's a funny character. But one of the things he says, he's talking about soil compaction. And he says this in numerous of his lectures, and he doesn't elaborate on it very much, but he says with soil compaction, and he's describing it to his students who are agricultural students, so that's very about horticulture. But then he says, at the same time, he says, this is exactly what has happened to our consciousness. What has happened to our consciousness is it's all been squeezed